Hello the world, Squirrels here, and we've had a lot of developments in the superhero multiverse lately. I, for one, am super excited to bring to you my first ever weekly Superhero Saturday. So let's take a look at some of the snippets from just this week. Okay, so as most of you know, I'm a pretty big DC Comics fan. I mean, I like Marvel, but I grew up with DC. I grew up with Superman primarily, and, you know, the whole Justice League, Batman, Aquaman, The Flash, Wonder Woman, all of those guys, right? So I might be a little biased, so just know that going forward, alright? But I mean, when it comes to TVs and movies, I love all of the Marvel movies. I mean, there's seriously no question that obviously Marvel's ahead of the game when it comes to the cinematic screen, right? The silver screen. When it comes to TV, I do watch like Daredevil on Netflix. Of course, that's not really like live TV, right? It's streaming TV. It's Netflix. And of course, I watch the big crossover, right? The Defenders, where, you know, Daredevil started it all, but then you got Jessica Jones and all those other guys, right? Kind of joining forces. So that was pretty cool. And I loved the Defenders, by the way. I watch so many shows that I kind of prioritize the DC Comics stuff, right? So yes, that means I watch Arrowverse. When it comes to DC, I watch the Arrowverse stuff, which means Arrow, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and now Supergirl. As of actually last year, Supergirl came over to the CW from, what was it, NBC? I think, no. CBS. Yeah. Anyway, she's on the Supergirl. Supergirl's on the CW now as part of the Arrowverse. And then Arrowverse has some stuff that's coming up online too, right? On the CW Seed, I think is what it's called, with Constantine, and I think there's a few others as well that are all part of the same universe of TV shows. So just this week, right? We had, I believe it was episode 3 of the seasons for the respective shows. So Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Supergirl. So on Arrow, we had an episode called Next of Kin. Lots of stuff going on lately in the Arrowverse, right? But particularly in the show, in the show Arrow, right? We have, without being too spoilery, we have new identities going on. We've got more Ollie and Son issues, right? Relationship issues. If you're not caught up on at least the end of last season, then I'm sorry if that statement was a little spoilery. But those of you that are caught up, what do you think of this new dynamic? And also, from the episode of this week, what about that scene with, you know, that one girl? Wink, wink. Cough, cough. So we've also got The Flash, right? The episode this week was called Lucky Be a Lady. It feels, to me, it kind of feels semi-fillery. Fillery is not supposed to be a pun on The Magicians TV show, if you watch that. It feels like a semi-filler episode, right? It doesn't feel like this massive, integral part of the plot, which I guess is a lot of Flash episodes and some Arrow episodes as well. It's not a bad episode. We meet an interesting new metahuman in it, right? And we get a surprise visit from someone from another place, which was a nice-to-have thing, right? Moving on to Legends of Tomorrow. Legends of Tomorrow, we get more time traveling, right? We go to the future, which, of course, Legends of Tomorrow is about time travel, and they're of tomorrow, so I guess future travel kind of makes sense. There's a lot of dealing with Amaya in this episode, so, again, I'm going to try my best in these episodes not to be too spoilery, but there's a lot dealing with Amaya and the things going on with her, which is cool. Personally, I'm glad that Amaya is still in the show because, you know, but episode 1 of this season, I was kind of worried there for a second. But, hey, she's back, so that's cool. Supergirl. So Supergirl, I actually really like this show, Supergirl. Like, I didn't think that I would, but I'm a pretty big fan. I feel like they're doing pretty decent justice to her, and she's not really, like, in the shadow of Superman, right? Even when they did bring Superman last season, and again, if you're not caught up, I'm sorry. But even when they brought Superman last season, it didn't feel like Superman was outshining Supergirl, which is a major, like, potential problem to have, right? So this week, the episode was called Far From the Tree, which dealt with a wedding shower, which was kind of cool and unique, particularly very modern, right? And There was also that really cool extraplanetary visit. Again, trying not to be too spoilery, but I believe you can actually tell that they, spoiler alert, go to Mars in this episode. Literally, it was in the trailer like all week leading up to this episode, so I don't think that's too spoilery. Something having to do with Martian Manhunter and Miss Martian. So yeah, so that's kind of what's going on, or what has gone on in the Arrowverse TV this week. Again, I prioritize DC stuff, so Marvel fans, I apologize. But looking at what's coming up in movies, we got 2 competing movies in the blockbuster coming up very, very, very soon, literally in like less than a month. We've got Thor, Ragnarok, right? Marvel fans, yeah, and we've got Justice League, yeah. So I know that the DC movies have kind of been hit or miss, and mostly miss for most fans and critics out there. Personally, I've been mostly fans of these movies, but I tend to be very optimistic and look at the good rather than looking at the negative, and I tend to do that with a lot of things. So keep that in mind as you're looking at my stuff. I'm going to be as bestly objective as I can, but at the same time, when I point out some of the negative, I will also put with it reasons why I feel like directors or producers or writers did it as the way they did. With Suicide Squad, I had a video on our channel when I saw an early screening of it. I believe it was 1 or 2 weeks before it was actually released. Got probably one of our most views, considering we're a brand new channel, so that was pretty cool. And I said in that pre-screening video that I enjoyed my viewing of the movie. So obviously, critics and most fans did not share that opinion. Looking back on it, I can absolutely see why critics might not have liked or didn't like Suicide Squad, but at the same time, again, I tend to look for the good in things. So with Thor and Justice League button heads in the blockbuster in the next month, Thor looks to be Marvel's biggest, most anticipated movie thus far, which is pretty much what they've said about every single other Marvel movie that's come out so far, right? But it still looks pretty awesome. My thoughts, again, I'm a DC guy, but I love these Marvel movies. I'm super excited for Thor. Obviously, Hulk has a major part in this movie as well. Thor's kind of putting this team together from what it looks like on the plot so far that you can see in the trailers. Just like all the other Marvel movies, it looks very action-packed and fun and very funny. Great stuff, great stuff. And then on the other hand, we've got Justice League. Obviously, DC fan here, but Justice League in the last several weeks has been really cool ramping up to the movie. So if you're not aware, the last few weeks they've been trying to showcase, or the last couple weeks, last week and this week, they've been trying to showcase various heroes that make up the Justice League with their respective actors, trying to talk up those characters and their backstories just a little bit. Last week was Flash Week, and I will try to include, by the way, links for most of what I'm talking about in the description below. But last week was Flash Week, and there was actually a video with Ezra Miller discussing his version of the Flash, a little bit of Flash's backstory, which is a really cool, like 3.5 minute give or take video, all about the Flash, or very Flash focused. This week, DC Warner Brothers announced that it was Wonder Woman and Cyborg Week. So likewise, there was also a video with Gal Gadot and Ray Fisher. Really sorry about that. Can't believe I forgot his name. I was just completely blanking. But the two, the actor and actress, they go kind of hand in hand, kind of battling it out this week, I guess, in that video. So that's kind of cool. Take a peek at that. Again, links in the description. Other stuff. So that's just last week and this week. And that's specifically with the superhero highlights. There were also 3 brand new TV spots that came out just this week for Justice League. Kind of crazy. They're called Save One, On My Lead, and Stronger Together. So take a look at those TV spots. I'm gonna, again, links in the description. Save One focuses primarily on the Flash. It's like a Batman and Flash interaction deal, where Batman is kind of talking to the Flash. Flash is explaining, like, yeah, I've never really been in this big battle-y thing. I just kind of run really fast and hit people, as you've probably already noticed in the trailers thus far, that the Flash says that one-liner. On My Lead kind of shows a lot of the trailers that we've seen thus far, but we get a little bit more of an idea about Steppenwolf being the main villain. If you're not aware, Steppenwolf, one of the major generals in Darkseid's army. Steppenwolf is leading a Parademon army to look for the mother boxes on Earth. So most of us already know that about the plot, but On My Lead is kind of this TV spot that focuses more on that central piece of the plot. And then the third one, which is probably my favorite one, it's called Stronger Together. Stronger Together is, again, like another couple-minute-long TV spot trailer that was released this week, but Stronger Together focuses on the theme that the Justice League really need to keep the team together, because we are, in fact, stronger together. And mind you, all three of these TV spots and the 2-week superhero highlights, none of them have featured Superman at all, right? Nothing thus far has actually said that Superman's in the movie. Of course, we all know that he is in the movie. It would be really silly if you know anything about DC to expect him to not at all be in this movie called The Justice League, right? So, what were you most excited about this week? Any of those DC shows? Maybe it was a Marvel show. Maybe there's a real specific Marvel show that you guys really, really want me to watch, because I really don't want to just only favoritize DC, even though I'm kind of subject to that just because of my upbringing. And which movie are you more excited for? Thor Ragnarok or DC's Justice League? Justice League, by the way, is projecting like something like 110 or 115 million or 130 million, I don't remember. Something over $100 million opening weekend is what they're currently anticipating and what they're currently projecting, which is kind of crazy considering we're still like a month out. But pretty cool. Which movie are you more excited for? Sound off in the comments below. If you like what you see, guys, you're excited for more of these Superhero Saturdays or Super Saturdays, like the video, subscribe to Wulf and Skwirls. As always, guys, stay squirrely. Catch you next week.